I spent a long time dreaming of traveling to India, exploring a country unknown to me in many ways. I finally lived out this dream and spent a quarter of my year adventuring through the lands of this mysterious, vast and inviting place. Now it's time to share with you what I learned from what I can only call an experience of a lifetime. Hey everyone, what's going on? In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what I learned spending 3 months in India. I'll cover from my perspective what you can expect when it comes to street photography, plus some more other general kind of tips that will hopefully help you if you are planning to visit India. It was one hell of an adventure. Have I seen all of India? No, of course not. But on that trip, I managed to see a fair bit of the north and south. When it was coming near to the end of the 3 months, I was kind of glad that I was getting out of India, but I'm actually really missing it right now, especially now I'm back in the UK. So I'm going to be splitting this video up into 2 sections. The first half of the video will be what you can expect when doing a little bit of street photography, kind of travel photography when you're in India. And the second half will be more kind of general tips, any kind of advice that I have to give you from my own personal experience, any other little bits of information that I feel might help you if you are planning a trip. So if you're interested in street photography, travel photography, or just the general travel, then stick around. So these are just my opinions and what I've taken away from my experience. So if you disagree or if you agree about anything that I'm saying, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And also, if you had your own experience of India, then I'd love to hear from you. Let's get into the first section of the video, what you can expect when doing street photography in India. On the whole, I would say my experience of street photography in India and photography in general was a very positive one. Now, when I say street photography, I am kind of encompassing, capturing the everyday life of a place. Because I mean, at some points, I was not on any streets in India. So is that street photography? So let's go through some of the positives that I've taken away. On the whole, I'd say 90 to 95% of people in India really didn't mind that there was a camera about. Obviously, I could be wrong, and I've obviously just made that statistic up. But from my experience there, I mean, I never felt uncomfortable with my camera, and other people that I encountered didn't seem too phased or uncomfortable that I had my camera out as well. Like portraits or kind of like street portraits, then maybe this is a great place for you, as there are some really interesting people, and it's a different culture, what I'm kind of used to, or maybe what you're used to, so it's a bit more exciting. If you're a shy street photographer, then this could be the place or the trip that you take to kind of find your confidence. I mean, it's a long old flight from a lot of places in the world, but the place just seemed like really friendly and really welcoming, and full of creative opportunities. I'm not the most overly confident person with my camera, but I felt like I could approach people there and people were open to it. So that's a great testament to the people of India. You all are a friendly bunch, so thank you. Colour are absolutely everywhere. I mean, colour is everywhere in India. It is the main thing that stood out to me among, countless other things. The place is just one wonderful ball of vibrant, aesthetically pleasing colour. Everywhere I looked, there were beautiful people in traditional wear, ladies in their traditional wear, men in their traditional wear, dressed colourfully. So I really love black and white photography. So to try and shoot in black and white in a place full of vibrant colour, I found it a little bit tricky at times. What I found tricky about it was that I wanted to switch to black and white, but the colour profiles were just absolutely incredible. The palettes that were there were just unbelievable. So when I switched to a black and white profile on my camera, I really struggled because I just wanted to switch back to colour straight away. Maybe if I wasn't so infatuated with the colour there, then I would have been able to switch out to black and white more often, but that is something that was a love-hate relationship for me. And I'm sure, just because I struggled with black and white there, I'm sure there are some absolutely amazing, legendary black and white photos of India. So don't be discouraged if you are, primarily a black and white shooter. Like, yeah, you know what you're doing. So you'll have fun there. Train stations. Let me say that train stations are a sweet spot. For some reason, the train stations, the trains in India just lend themselves aesthetically to photography. Whenever I was in a train station, I would always have my camera out, even when I was loaded with all my bags and maybe a few samosas. I just had to have my camera out. Last up on the positives, and this is kind of like a general one that everyone will probably do anyway, but I wanted to add it in just in case, is make sure you visit the tourist sites. They are tourist sites for a reason. They are bustling with people. People flock from, you know, everywhere to go see these sites, so you will always have opportunities for photography there. So A, you'll get to see obviously the Indian tourist sites, which are phenomenal, which are always great to see, and B, you'll get a ton of people going out in the day, granting you lots and lots of different opportunities, lots of different scenes. Everyone will be focused on the tourist attractions, and you can be focused on the people looking at the tourist attractions and going about their day. So some of the negatives, let's get into those as well. I mean, I don't have a lot of negatives for the street photography side of this video, but something I will say, and maybe this only matters with what kind of photography style you have, and that's the fact that India is so busy, like really busy. A different type of busy that you're maybe used to if you are from one of the biggest cities in the UK or around the world, like let's say for instance London. London is busy, but India is on a different level. And for me it was extremely stimulating. I mentioned it when I first arrived in Chennai. Sometimes there was just too much to capture, and I felt my brain was just overloaded, and I just wanted to snap everything. And there was one dude over there that I wanted to capture, but then there was a lady over there. Everything, it was just moving so fast. And of course, you know, you can't capture everything every time you go out, but I felt like there was just, and maybe because I was away and I was excited to be away, and India was interesting to me and new, and everything was new and unique, that it was just a lot. Now, although I'm saying this now, there was one place in India which I absolutely loved, being so hectic and so busy and overwhelming, and that was a place in Delhi called Chandni Chowk. For some reason, I was just in a flow there, and that surprised me because that place was heaving. But yeah, it was a hell of a lot of fun to shoot. And look, most foreigners are going to stick out in India, so your chances of going unnoticed, maybe, especially with a camera in your hand, is pretty slim. But again, I look for the positives. I can spin that and say it gives you a chance to interact with people. So yeah, maybe that's not so much of a negative. So my favorite places that I got to do street photography were Fort Kochi. I also really actually like Chennai, and the Golden Triangle is a heap of fun. Udaipur was absolutely insane, loved that place, and I really, obviously, Varanasi. That place is just unreal. If you go to India, make sure you get there. There were a few places that I missed, such as Calcutta, which I'd really like to go to, and also Mumbai, which I missed. Obviously, there are so many more places in India that I'd love to go and see. Okay, so that's my experience of street photography. According to Lightroom, I took around 8,000 photos over 3 months. Now, I don't know whether that's a lot, but for me, that was the most amount of photos I've ever taken. So yeah, for me, it was quite a lot. So all in all, I felt like I got a good amount of pictures from the trip. Some that will be going into my portfolio, some that will be heading to social media, some to Zines. I am in the process of creating a hardcover book of my 3 months there. I know 3 months isn't, you know, the longest amount of time, but I want to document my work and document my experience and my trip there. So I do want to print that at some point, and I'm trying to keep those photos that go in that book away from social media so that it's just a fresh book that kind of no one has seen. So moving on, next we have some general travel tips, my top tips for India that I feel are truly necessary. And this, again, is my experience, my opinions. If you've got something to say it in the comments. So first off, make sure you get yourself a SIM card. Can't stress it enough. Go and get a SIM card at the start of your trip. So we actually started the trip in the south and we decided not to get a SIM card. We arrived and we thought, do we need it? Let's just chance it. We wanted to maybe do a bit more of an old school approach to traveling. Me, I am pretty stubborn, so I want to work things out myself. So we actually traveled around the south of India without a SIM card, but getting one in the north. That was probably the better way around, because in the north, the SIM card is an absolute savior. Get yourself a SIM card. Next up, might be a bit controversial, but use Uber. We thought we were getting, and being savvy, we thought we were getting good prices on tuk-tuks. We thought we were bartering and, like, you know, playing the whole game. So we thought we were doing well. To our surprise, when we got to the north and we looked at Uber, we were getting absolutely fleeced in the south. So we saved a whole ton of money in the north from using Uber. Obviously, when you're there, every man, woman, child, dog, cat will offer you a tuk-tuk ride at some point. For the most part, they're just trying to get your business, and that's fair. Everyone's trying to make a living, so they might charge you a little bit more. I would say use Uber. The Uber prices are a little bit more fair and a little bit closer to maybe what the locals are paying. So just have your wits about you. For example, we got one trip down the south and that cost us 40 rupees, and we shared with a local Indian person, but on the way back we paid 800 rupees for the same trip. So yeah, I mean, be smart. On the transport theme that we have going on here, for me, I would say use trains all day, every day over buses or coaches. The train experience was just so much better. So much easier. Yeah, just an all-round more positive experience. We did start off doing sleeper buses, like daytime buses, but nothing compares to the smoother ride of the train. The buses only really stop, you know, maybe 2, 3, 4 times on the trip. So if you need the toilet, yeah, you might be waiting a little while. But on the train, there obviously is a toilet there and you can kind of go whenever you want. With the trains, get yourself booked up well in advance. I would say you can use travel agents. We were trying to book trains, but we couldn't actually book any trains ourselves. I don't know if that was just user malfunction and we were just making it way more complicated than it needed to be, but we ended up just trying to use travel agents a bit more, and it was really quick and easy. I don't think you pay too much more or even anything. So yeah, I would suggest trying to use a travel agent, and it felt safe. They print out all your details on like some A4 paper. They highlight everything, give you lots of information. They're really great to use and very, very helpful. So it's definitely worth the convenience. Food and drink. Now, I'm not a fussy eater at all. I will eat anything. In all honesty, all the food that I had, I didn't actually eat a ton of street food. I was a little bit skeptical of other bits, and obviously the social media world that we are living in today, I've seen countless videos that kind of put me off it a little bit, even though I've got quite an iron stomach. The experience in restaurants, everything felt very well cooked. Nothing was rushed, which was really nice. You had time to sit down, enjoy a drink, and then enjoy a meal. No one was trying to like get you out of the restaurant or anything. Like, it was nice. And the food was just full of flavour. Obviously there are lots of Western chains as well, if you are worried about that. I mean, I went to McDonald's a fair few times. I really loved the Maharaja Mac. That thing is absolute fire and so fresh. Nothing like the UK. On the whole, all the food I ate in India was pretty damn tasty. I don't think I got sick from the food, but maybe I did. But we kind of tried to trace it back, and we thought it actually came down to the water that we were drinking. So to give you a little bit more information on that, I found online after I actually got sick from, which I think from water. There are three main brands that are usually kind of safe to drink, I guess, for tourists. and the rest are kind of, how do I say this, knockoff brands. So the 3 brands that I did find an article online about were Kinley, Aquafina, and this one called Bisleri. These 3 brands were always kind of like nicely bottled, but we did find in some places the bottles were, Bisleri brand would be Bisberry or Bislari, or Aquafina would be Aquafine. Now, and they looked okay to drink, you know, from the outside, you know, if you just picked it up, it looks like a bottle of water, nothing wrong with it. But some bottles we found were a little bit scuffed. Obviously we tried the, you know, the cap test, and sometimes it wasn't really tight. Didn't pop or anything, so we're a little bit skeptical. But sometimes if you're in the middle of nowhere and you've got nothing else to drink, then you know, we kind of done that, and that's where we think we fell ill, and that we got ill in Jaipur. And yeah, had to spend another like week there because we couldn't leave the hotel room. But again, this is just my opinion, this is just my experience and what I've taken away and what I think made me ill, so I could be wrong. And lastly, I just want to say, in a general tip for going to India is embrace India, embrace the experience. It's unlike anything, anywhere I've ever been to before, so embrace it. But remember, you always have a choice. I'll start by saying I don't think I'm a gullible person per se, but landing in Delhi, within 10 minutes of coming off the train, we were scammed and we kind of were taken for a tuk-tuk ride, around the block a couple times, and taken to a tourism office that were going to try and sell us stuff. And that was kind of the only time that happened, and that was in Delhi, which I feel like I've heard about, and maybe I've read some things that Delhi is a little bit more notorious, a tourist trap at times. But yeah, like I said, you always have a choice, have your wits about you, embrace the experience. But if there are experiences that seem maybe too good to be true, then maybe have your wits about you, look a bit deeper into it. And if it seems dodgy, then it probably is. So stay away from that. But yeah, like I said, embrace India. It's definitely something to experience. I've decided that a kind of fitting couple words for me that kind of sum up the trip, the journey, the adventure is the land of colour and chaos. It was 3 months of incredible sights, being able to enter into a different culture and thoroughly explore it is definitely one of my favourite things to do. And having 3 months in India to explore and delve and get deep into the culture is and was second to none. It was also a memorable bonding experience for me and Danielle, obviously, and a hell of a trip for photography. I'm so glad that I got to experience it, and it was absolutely sublime. And look, India is what you make of it, really, like a lot of places in the world. The running joke for India is that it's not for the beginner traveller. I'd agree to some extent, but the best thing you can do is experience it for yourself and forge your own opinions. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I hope you've gained a little bit of insight into India through this video. Obviously, like I said, I can only draw on my experience and my thoughts and opinions, but I'd love to hear from you in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. It's been fun. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.